It is time once again for the weekly closes on our favorite Bitcoin miners. This time I'm coming to you from Busan, South Korea. So this is going to be a quick one. I don't have lots of time, so we're going to do kind of just a quick run over of the charts today. So let's go ahead and get right into it with CleanSpark here. So you can see CleanSpark last week we were down. Oh no, we were up 0.13%. We got a nice little doji down here, meaning that CleanSpark's pretty happy at this price right here. It doesn't seem to want to go down much lower, but it doesn't have a lot of momentum to go much higher. You can see we came right into my descending trend line here, tapped it from below and then fell a little bit, so I don't like that. But we got trapped between that one and this other ascending trend line, this white dotted one here, which is a much bigger trend line than the other one, because this one goes all the way back to 2023 here. So we're getting trapped in between those two right now. We'll see which one breaks. Whichever one breaks dictates where we're going to go. If the bottom one breaks, we come all the way down to about $5. If the top one breaks, then we can move up into about 9, 10, maybe even, no, about $9 or $10. That's about it. That's about all we're going to get out of this one. You can see that the 50 is sloping further down. I don't like that. I want to see this thing scoop up, kind of like the 9. The 9 here is starting to scoop over. I want to see the 9 turn up, and I want to see the 50 go flat on CleanSpark here to start feeling better. Now, the few things that we do have to feel better about CleanSpark are that I believe it was last week, they came out and they said right here, this is the AI overview. It says CleanSpark has stated it will not utilize any ATM programs for financing until the company's share price exceeds $20. And the other special thing about that $20 mark is that the CleanSpark warrants, if they hold over 18 for a rolling 30-day period, they can make them executable, which would make the price of CLSKW shoot up in that instance. Okay, so we're watching all of this right now. The BX trender has been getting lighter red for 3 weeks in a row here. That's pretty good. You can see that the volume oscillator here has been going gray from being red for 3 weeks in a row as well. The multi-kernel oscillator down here also went flat. The signal line went flat down here. That's pretty good. It could start curling up and coming back up towards the zero line. Now, we've seen the zero line cross up before. We've seen this exact same thing play out before back here in September 2024, where we went up, we hit this big old trend line, and then we came down harder. So we'll see. The RSI really isn't showing us anything of interest there, but the momentum shows that it may be slowly turning in our favor. The volume you can see here is just kind of playing underneath average. I think if you look here with the Bitcoin miner here last time, it's not always the case on every asset, but some do well when the volume is above the average, some do well when it's below. Like on an index, you want to see the volume below the average, and it looks like with CleanSpark it does best when the volume is above that blue line on the average volume there on the bottom. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll take a real quick look at CLSKW here. It is flattening out finally after being in this steep dive for a while. We were flattening out right at about 20 cents here, which is it's pretty low. It sucks, but it's just the bottom it's basically just the bottom of this big mega candle we had back in November 2024. So we're just hanging out at the bottom of that candle. Now, could we go to the very bottom? We have once. We could tap that again, which should be about 16 cents. I am looking at in this area now, starting to accumulate a little bit more. Just nibble here, grab a few more, try to build out that position to where I would like it to be here, especially if Bitcoin starts to show some life. So I'm watching this one very closely, and I'd like to pick them up below 24 cents. I'd like to get my position built out there. And of course, nothing I say is financial advice and not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. Investing is risky. Do your own research, come to your own conclusions, take responsibility for your own risks. All right, anyways. Mara. Let's take a look at Mara. Yeah, I got the VWAP on. Let me get here. I have way too many of these up all the time. VWAP. Let me turn that off. We don't need that on a weekly. That's just a noisy line, along with all this other noise. Mara. So we've had this wicked downtrend here, right? Let me turn that back on. We had this really intense downtrend for Mara, like right in there, that has been stuck in for a while. And it looks like we're finally trying to break out of that thing. That's nice. So if we look here at the volume oscillator, 2 weeks in a row, they are gray coming off of red. And on the BX trender down here, you see we got 2 weeks of light red. That's good, but the RSI still looks like pretty bad. And you can see the volume is still significantly below the average. But we do have earnings coming up. When is that? May 7th. So a couple of weeks, we got earnings coming out. That might be interesting for Mara. Mara does hold something like 40-some odd thousand Bitcoin. So when this thing does go up, when Bitcoin goes up heavily, Mara should follow in that respect. We did come into almost into this support down here. So if we go any lower, yeah, the support area is about $9. But if we break this downtrend, we can move all the way up to about $17, $18, maybe even get into this most traded zone around $19 again for Mara. So it's been a long road for this one coming down. Hopefully it will start to turn around soon. Let's take a look at Iren. How is Iren doing this week? All right, so we are starting to get out of this descending this descending wedge right here, this falling wedge pattern. We're starting to come out of that and go sideways. That's not bad. Now the volume is still bad. If you look here, the volume is still red and getting redder. So that's really bad for this week. Don't like that. Let me turn off the drawings for a second so I can see the price action here. Yeah, we came all the way down into like the lowest support. If we go any lower, basically we could come down to like 434. If we break out though, we're going to come up to the 9 about 715 where we're going to hit some resistance. And if we can break through that, then we'll come up to around the 21 at 868. And that would be a, how much of a move? We came up to the 20, about a 56% move, so not great, not terrible. What I'm going to be watching right now is this big channel right here. Let me draw it so you can see it nice and clean. This channel right here. When we get back into that channel, I'm looking at the top of that channel as potentially the highest that I expect this thing to go. Okay, that's what I'm looking at. So in this case, that would be in a couple of weeks from now, like late May, that would be like 1050. That's the highest I expect it to go before it rolling over, which would be right in the center of all of this support back here to the left. Okay, so that's what I'm watching. I'm not as bullish as I once was on these things going as high as they possibly could because it's become very clear that they're highly manipulated. Anytime they go up a bit, they get sold off very dramatically. So I'm not trying to hold these things to the highest highs anymore like I was before. I'm going to do a lot more of a hit and run style on my Bitcoin miners for now, at least until they show that they deserve to be treated as if they can go higher. At this point, they have not proven that they should be treated as though they can go higher, so I will not be doing that. Okay, anyways, it may sound harsh, but that's investing. Investing is it's a blood sport, and it's not about getting all up in arms about a specific ticker. It's about will it be able to perform, and if it doesn't perform, it gets cut. All right. Anyways, let's go here. BX Trender is good this week, but volume is bad. The multi-kernel is still pointing straight down on Iren. I don't really see Iren doing much other than going sideways right now. Maybe when their earnings come out, because they should be one of the most profitable miners around right now, because they sell all their Bitcoin and they were selling it up in the $100,000 range, whereas as many others were not. So hopefully that might be the turnaround story, the earnings day here on what it's marked as May 7th on TradingView. If it's different than that, let me know. Yeah, that might be the marking point there. Let's take a look at Riot. Riot almost as cheap as Iren these days. It's down to 646. Who would have thought that? It was up at $14 just a couple months ago. We got that bearish divergence on the RSI, and it just dump. This one looks bad. All right, everything is pointing the wrong direction on this one. The BX Trender is getting deeper red. The volume is getting deeper red. The multi-kernel oscillator is pointing down. RSI is almost trying to touch 30. So this sucks. This one sucks. I don't really see Riot. I don't really see Riot doing much. It might just come back down, hang out at these lows for a while, go sideways, go flat for a bit, and then start crawling back up. But at this time, I wouldn't be going in thinking, oh, it's going to do great. It could come to the bottom of this here. I'll show you the structure here on the left here from February 2023. It could be coming to the bottom of that structure, which would be around $5, around 525, around 525 on the low end. That's where it could go on the low end. Now, if it breaks out of this aggressive downtrend, now we've got resistance at about 909, and then again at 11, and then again at the top of the channel here at 13. So 909, 11, and $13 are your targets to the upside, and to the downside, 525 is about where I'd expect it to go low. And if it breaks that, well, then it's going into the basement. You're going to be having a really, really bad time. If it breaks that, then we're going to the bottom of this channel potentially again, which would be all the way down at $2.33. So keep your eyes on the right. I think there are better risk to reward situations on the Bitcoin miner front than Riot right now. But of course, that is for you to decide, not for me to tell you. Okay, let's take a look at Btdigital. Btdigital has been doing atrociously. I told everyone back when it was still in the high twos. Whoops, that was very loud. I kicked my trash can. I told everyone when it was in the high twos that this one was in danger because it had lost focus. And look at this wicked bear flag right here, this wicked bear flag right there, and then boom, just down since then. Yeah, after I got out I got out around like the high twos right after this bear flag started to break. I got out. I told everyone that this was looking bad, that they don't have focus, and they're not really expanding their Bitcoin business. The AI business is at threat because of DeepSeek, and Ethereum is in the toilet, and it wasn't showing signs of coming back yet. So that's why I got out of this. I have not gotten back into this. I don't know if I will get back into this. The only way I would consider getting back into this is if Ethereum starts to show itself as a top player again. If not, or we find out that DeepSeek was in fact a sham. One of the two. One of the two should help this stock. Otherwise, I do not see a scenario where Digital does well because they do not have enough Bitcoin. Ethereum is not performing, and AI is at risk to Chinese competitors. Okay, so this one has all three things are bad on this one. So I am basically treating this one like it is toxic until one of those three things changes, preferably two of those things changes. Okay. Take a look at Bitfarms. Bitfarms is another one that has become toxic for me, largely due to the fact that they doubled their share count. They're over 500 million shares now. So basically, just to get up to where they were before, they'd have to like quadruple in price. Basically, it's a ridiculous amount of shares that they have issued. If you're still holding on to this one, I am sorry. I alerted back here in the mid twos, around 230, 240 is where I got out. When I saw it coming down, I said, hey, around this area, things aren't looking good. Their management is poor. They're having issues with competition from Riot. They are not really, institutions aren't buying as a result. And for those reasons, I was out back then. I sounded the alarm for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. I told everyone, please look at these things, take them into consideration. I'm not telling you what to do, but like look into these things and understand how they could impact the stock. And since then, it has been just an absolute dumpster fire. It came all the way to the bottom, all the way to the bottom of this channel here, which was at 69 cents down there. We are still hanging out underneath $1. Best case scenario. Okay, so best case scenario, we did get oversold on the RSI, so that's not bad, and we're still under that, right? We got oversold. Okay, not that's actually not the worst thing in the world. The multi-kernel oscillator is pointing straight down still, so that's not great. I want to see that start to curl. The volume printed gray this week, though. Printed gray after 2 weeks of lighter red BX trenders. So those two things are actually pretty good. Now, if this thing turns around, if it gets a pop, I would expect this thing to come up to and struggle around $1. It's going to struggle at $1. I'm sorry, it's just going to. It's going to struggle at $1 up to about 123. But if it breaks 123, it could shoot all the way up to about 160 to 171. And around 171, that would be like my ultimate highest target. Right now, I would be dumping all of my shares if it got to 171 from here, which would be a pretty significant increase. It'd be a little less than $1 per share, but you know, at 83 cents, you know, 1,000 of them, or how much money, or $830 for 1,000, that'd be about $1,000. Not too bad, not too terrible there if that were to make that move. But personally, I am staying away from this one. Still, in my mind, this one is still toxic. Okay, let's take a look at Cifr. Cifr got beat hard. Okay, so last week was down 2%. The BX trenders got 2 weeks of better momentum. The volume has 1 week of improving volume away from the downside. We did get ever so slightly oversold about 2 weeks ago, and we're trying to pull out of that. Now, one problem though, all of these moving averages are sloping straight down. I want to see these moving averages start to slope sideways. Like I want to see it do something like this, right? I want to see it kind of come and start kind of going flat, come flat. This one kind of start going flat. Then I want to see this one down here cross up, up, and up. And then I probably would be very interested around then. But that would be kind of late, right? That would be a really late move. So at least I want to see this 9 start to curl. I want to at least see the white one, the 9 EMA, start to curl and go flat before I have any interest in CAN. And on the way, CAN Cifr. And on the way up, I would expect it to hit about 386. Actually, let me draw a line. Let me draw a line around right here. I would expect it to run into some resistance. Lock that down. That'd be about 357 from its current price of 237. So not a little over $1. And then again, I'd expect it to hit some significant resistance around 514 on the way up. And then again, once it tries to enter this ascending channel that it was in for a really long time before it broke out of that. Okay, so that is Cifr. Let's take a look at Corz. Corz, I have been nibbling on a little bit. Have been nibbling on. Last week was down negative 6.22%. This one is also at threat from Chinese competitors for AI. So, and you can see the weekly here is bad. It's bad. It's not great. It's been getting worse here, so I might end up cutting this position actually if things don't improve soon. RSI is almost oversold. We've got volume getting worse, BX trender getting worse. We're coming right back down to this white line. If we lose this, honestly, if we lose this white line, this 617, 611, sorry, if it loses 611, let's call it $6. If it loses $6, I'm out of here. I'm going to cut that one and wait for a better opportunity. So I went a little too early, perhaps, and I might lose, maybe like 100, 200 bucks on this because I bought a very small position. But yeah, if it doesn't show in like 2 weeks, if we don't start seeing it come out of this channel, at least going sideways out of this channel, then I'll be done with this one for now. If it does break out, I can see it coming easily up to about 910. After it conquers 910, it's going to fight up to 11. Once it beats 11, it's very easily going to slide up to about 313, where it will fight its way up to back up to like 16. In that case, on the way down, if we lose $6, if we lose $6, we come all the way down to 423, which is why I would cut it. Okay, which is why I would cut it, because that's where the next level of support is. 420, 423, 427, 423, somewhere right there. Okay, so $6, loses $6, I'm out. But I've got the warrants. So what does that look like on the warrants? The warrants, that looks like losing 229. Looks like it looks like losing 210. Looks like losing 210. You lose 210, and then it can come all the way down to 138. On the upside, if we can break out of that descending channel, the warrants could come up to about 478, struggle their way through to 591. Once they break 591, they got a clear shot up to about $8. Okay, so that's what's going on there. And on the warrants, you can actually see the warrants are actually looking better. The multi-kernel is flattening out. The RSI is going less aggressively down. The BX trender is light red, and the volume is gray here. So that's actually looking better on the warrants, and maybe that is a predictive thing. My leg is going numb from this really hard chair. Wulf looks bad. This looks bad. This looks quite bad. But okay, so we're getting the volume's looking good. The BX trend is looking okay. The oscillator, the multi-kernel is starting to try to flatten out a little bit there. The RSI is flattening out down there near the bottom. So that's not the worst thing, but I really don't like this. Now it's a bit of a falling wedge. We can draw it real quick. It's a bit of a falling wedge. Go from here to here and here to here. That's a bit of a falling wedge. If we break out of that falling wedge, we could come up to about 422 out of it, and that's about what I would expect there. The highest I would expect, but we did just get the 21 crossing the 50. The 50 is starting to slope down. Wolf's got some work to do to get out of this. I really want to see it get out of this descending channel. I'll draw it so it looks a little easier to see. This one right here, it really needs to get out of that descending channel. Until then, I'm not really interested. Now you're going to miss out on what you're going to miss out on a little over $1 price action before it breaks out of this thing. But ideally, it would come out, test this from above, and then carry on. That would be the ideal move. Like, it comes up, wait for it to come back to touch this line. Once it touches this line, is go time. That's what I'll be. I mean, that's going to be a long, patient thing to wait for, but that's the ideal situation. And to the downside, what are we looking at to the downside here? So upside target would be ultimately about 646, but like you would be getting in around $4 in the perfect setup. To the downside, we're actually at we are at critical resistance down here. Actually, support. 192 is about the lowest we can go. If we break 192, we're gonna come all the way down to like $1. So watch that on. Let's take a look at Hut. How's Hut doing? Hut, similar sort of situation as Wolf, but we are breaking out of this big descending trend line here. We broke out from beneath it. We came above it, tested it from above, and then came up to the next trend line, support level, which was resistance at 1288, and we got rejected there. So we got to get above 1288. Once Hut is above 1288, honestly, above 1288, we really don't have tons of resistance all the way up to $21. So that would be pretty sweet. And to the downside, we've got a decent amount of support. We're kind of at support. To the downside, Hut has a ton of support all the way at like 872 all the way down to about 623. But I mean, we're in that support zone right now. So we could like kind of hang out. I think we're going to hang out in this channel. You see here, like this line right here, I'll draw it. So a little cleaner. This line right there, that line for that channel, I think that's probably going to, it looks like it's been holding up for quite a while. And as long as that's holding up, I see Hut going sideways, and then eventually popping up above that 1288 and then running for 2151. Maybe this trend line will mean something. We'll see when it gets there, but like I really could see it hitting 2151 without a lot of trouble once it gets out of out of that 1288 range. Let's take a look at the volume. The volume has been looking good for 2 weeks. The BX trend has been looking better for 2 weeks. The multi-kernel oscillator is starting to curl up there, and the RSI is kind of going flat. So all those things kind of symbolize a flat period before a launch. So we're watching real close. Let's take a look at CAN. How's CAN doing? CAN is doing not great. It's down. It's actually up 3.31% this week, but all the oscillators are looking kind of bad. The RSI actually kind of hit oversold territory here last week, so 2 weeks ago. Let's see. I'd really like to see it. I don't know. This one's hard. This one's really hard because you got tons of resistance back here on the left here, all the way from where current price all the way up to 121. You've got resistance from current price all the way up to 121. You're going to have resistance. So that one's hard to say. I don't know if it might just come up to like $1 and start like just going sideways for a while. That one's really, I can't really make heads or tails of that, to be honest. It has to get above 121 before it really has opportunity to make a move. But then look further to the left. We got a whole bunch of resistance right here as well. And then again, just above that right here as well. There's a lot of resistance above on this one, like lots of areas where price went flat above current price. So I think I would probably stay away from CAN, to be honest. I don't like that. It doesn't have like a clear shot up once it gets through a level. It looks like it's just kind of fighting all the way up. So honestly, I'm not interested in CAN for those reasons. Let's take a look at Btdr. Btdr's got this big falling wedge, which is also a bit of a megaphone pattern that it was playing out up there before it just fell all the way to the bottom of it. It just got stuck down there. Now this little box here, yeah, 692. So if it goes below 692, which it's currently at 762, it could fall to $6. $6 would be ultimate support. If it breaks $6, it could fall as low as like 425. Okay, but we got this big falling wedge. When we break out of this big falling wedge, we could quickly come up to about 1271, where we will struggle. I feel like we will likely struggle there at 1271, 1271, yep, 72, whatever. Once we get above it, so I'm looking at something like this, right? We're gonna like come in, go up to 172, and maybe kind of go like this, and then finally go up to like back up to $19 sometime later in the year. That's what I'm looking at. So I'm looking at it to come up to about 1271, 1272. If it doesn't completely fail there, I'd be looking for a move up to $19 from there for Btdr. And honestly, I'd be selling a good amount at 1272 and the rest at 19. Because like I said before, none of these miners have proven that they can go higher yet. They've proven that they're quick to sell, that they're slow to take off and very quick to sell. So I'm not trying to be in these things for very long anymore. So Luna did terribly last week. Well, it's actually 12% up last week, but like it's still at 61 cents. It still needs to go up like 600% just to get back to where I bought it. 370% to where I bought it. 500% to the top of the range of where I was buying it. So yeah, this one's kind of a dud right here. Who knows? This is starting to break out of this wedge. It's going sideways. The VX trender and the volume are looking okay. This one is really only going to take off if a hedge fund looks at it and goes, ooh, new plaything, and then shoots it back up to like $3-4 and then sells it off, and then shoots it up to $7 and then sells it off. Like it'll be really intense when it happens, if it happens. At this point, I'm thinking it's not going to happen. Anyways, that's all I've got for you for the miners right now. You can see Bitcoin. Let's look at Bitcoin before we go. Bitcoin's been holding up pretty well this week. It was up 1.85% off after the week before, where it was up 6.8%. We were getting out of this descending channel. All we really need to do is get above the 21-week moving average, which is at 86,576. We get above that, we've got room all the way back up to the 90,000s range. You can see the multi-kernel oscillator starting to curl there. The RSI is trying to get above 50. It's slightly above 50 right now. The volume is gray. The BX trender has been light red for 2 weeks on Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is actually starting to show some life. We get that move up, the miners may very likely follow. Anyways, that's all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description, as well as the channel bio. I'll try to bring as many videos as I can to you while I am on vacation, but there will be less than usual. And have a profitable day.